Bill Henshaw here again, your friendly local constitutional counselor from California. And by way of introduction here, I'm going to be discussing the issue of taking on your corporate lender. You're going to love what's going to happen here. But a little background about who I am and what I do. And I somehow have gotten the gift from above, uh, expert witness command of 230 years of the Constitution, history, and laws of the United States. And among other things, experiences that I've had, I got hauled out of here in California 10 years ago and sent off to Columbia, South Carolina, where I had never been before. How can you commit a crime in a place you ain't never been? Well, that's what happened. And oh, by the way, it took 2 months to get from San Francisco to Columbia, courtesy of four different unmarked military aircraft, which I could get on without any fucking ID. So I finally get there, and I end up spending a couple of months there, in fact, a little bit more than that. And while I'm alone in a jail cell there, awaiting my arraignment, that took a long time, by the way. That should have been gone to throw the cake out, but it wasn't. But I did an 18-page hand-printed writ of habeas corpus to the U.S. Supreme Court. Um, and it got there. They didn't take any action 10 years ago, and I think today this would have gotten on the emergency docket of the court now. But that said, when you get my materials, and by the way, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and you'll get information about my modestly priced constitutional defense document packets. And they'll include some samples of my work, especially from this South Carolina case, where I did 18 pages, 30 case citations, no errors. And I doubt that any attorney could have done that from the comfort of their fucking office. I did it alone from a jail cell and beat the case in the first 90 seconds of the arraignment. And that's what you'll be able to do. Be a little different here because when we're going to take on your corporate lenders, we're going to be the quote unquote plaintiffs, but we won't be in their corrupt courts, otherwise known as executive administrative tribunals, and you won't have to worry about doing anything like that. But you got someone here that knows the law maybe better than anybody. By the way, the best way to understand what I'm doing is to watch a really fine Ron Howard movie called A Beautiful Mind about John Nash, a mathematician back in the 1950s. Same type of gift I had, different area. And interestingly, we both spent some time growing up in Bluefield, West by Virginia. So watch that movie, and you're going to get a real good feeling for what it is I do and how I do it. So in any event, to get back to what we were talking about here, no statute of limitations, no nothing, and it won't be in any of their so-called quote courts, which aren't courts. They may look like it, but you're going to learn they're not. But we have them, and we can get to them, and we have a right to do that from day one. And that's what's going to make you a good chunk of change here. And I'll get my share of that, no question about that. But that's how it's going to happen. Because they're going to get lawful service of process a hell of a lot more than what you got when they served you. And if you had known that at the time, you would have beaten whatever happened to you 15 or 20 years ago because of ineffective service of process. Case is called Penoyer v. Neff, 95 U.S. 714. Judge. They can't serve you and get you in their court, quote unquote court, by the way. It's actually an executive administrative tribunal. You'll learn all about that too. Then they have nowhere to go. And that's exactly what should be happening. We're in a principal and agent relationship here, not guardian and ward. So it's just all good news, no matter how you turn it. And by the way, I was at the head of the class of ignorance when I got out of high school. So much so that I went and tried to volunteer into the U.S. fucking Marine Corps at the age of 19 at the height of the Vietnam War. But fortunately, the recruiter took one look at me and said, if you lose your glasses, how will you know who to shoot? Because I'm very nearsighted. You can't tell it as much here, but trust me, I'm a high myope. I didn't have the right answer then like I do now. I would have said no problem. Give me an M16, point me back to Washington, D.C., the White House, landslide, Lyndon Johnson. I'll take care of it. As we should never been in the Vietnam War. That's a subject matter for another video, but trust me. And going back to the Spanish American War, you're going to learn a lot of American history that you never got told either. So I was saved from doing that, and I blossomed into this lifestyle after I got into California here. So it's all great news for all of us here. So send me an email, uwinningcourt@gmail.com, for information on my modestly priced constitutional defense document packets and how we can take on your corporate lender and make them pay. Thank you.